There's a good chance that your generation will see the extinction of many, many creatures.
The population will reach 9 billion people by 2050 and put a major stress on our already fragile global food system.
Humans have exponentially increased the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere, and the devastation has already been seen.
As natural resource students at Colorado State University, we encounter these kinds of challenging and even depressing environmental problems every day.
The loss of biodiversity, the acidification of the ocean, the dramatic increase in greenhouse gases, the soil erosion, the water becoming less potable.
Dramatic increases in world population, the changing climate, the onslaught of invasive species and emerging pathogens, and on and on and on.
How is it possible that people can spend their entire career confronting these issues and still have a smile on their face? I interviewed 6 optimists in the Warner College to find out.
We are bombarded with news releases, and we have some scientists who sort of over predict. They feel too strongly about the gloom and doom that's just over the horizon.
Most of my work has occurred in Hawaii, and in general I think there's lots of room for optimism there, even though Hawaii is, many people consider it one of the most sort of tragic places to work, because the majority, for example, of birds are extinct.
Well, I think it's very easy to be optimistic. I mean, when I look around, I see issues and challenges. Sure, things to change for the better. So every one of them is an opportunity, and we've taken those opportunities. We've decreased the number of extinctions in the past 10 years, our rate of extinction in the past 10 years. I feel good about that. It sounds like more people are caring, and more people care about creating more parks and refuges than ever before. Citizens are out gathering data. These are all really good signs.
It's very easy to be optimistic at CSU, extremely easy, because one, you have the students, and there's some type of teachers that really feed on the energy they see in students, and I happen to be one of those, so they actually energize me. And then the other thing about being in this college of natural resources, the Warner College, is everything that everybody does in this planet, in this college, is focusing on how to make the planet better.
Because everything we do as a conservation biologist, everything we do is sort of mission driven. So the idea is that, you believe that nature is worth saving, that we want to live in a world where we have all the plants and animals that we have around us now. We want our children, our grandchildren to have those animals and plants around them as well. I've been involved in a research context in large-scale restoration projects, which to me is a really optimistic thing to do, is to see these landscapes transformed, and it's people that are planting the trees. Hundreds of thousands of trees are being planted, native trees are being planted, and the birds are coming back. And I've been seeing that happen. So I think seeing that happen also helps counteract any of these other, things that might come across your plate that might get you down.
I mean, that's what gives me, I guess, hope and inspires me, is that I do believe that, people can change. We can change as individuals, and we can learn and change as groups and as a society. So,
really, as early as I can remember, I've had this real desire and goal to make an impact on the world, and that kind of shifted around in a few different directions at different points in time. But that was really what motivated me, and really why I'm where I am today. Because of my efforts, I feel like I've made a difference, and so that gives me a great sense of optimism.
the people I work with make it easy to be optimistic. They're all very energetic, they enjoy what they're doing, and seem to be behind the direction the units are moving. And that is really a source of optimism. It's always better to look at the bright side of things. Sometimes when things are not going so well, others can't believe that I can look at the bright side. But on the other hand, I try to take the long view of where we started, where we are as a unit, and regardless of what's going on, let's take a look at what we've done right, what we need to correct.
There is a lot of bad news, a lot of, things that seem really, unresolvable. And the biggest ones are human created, or the conflicts that we cause. And some of them seem so entrenched, they've gone on for centuries and centuries. And so it is difficult to be hopeful. But you have to look for examples of societies that have, at least for periods of time, because we're always going to have conflict, overcome that, or at least improved the situation.
People are engaged in the health of their planet. For some reason in academia, we focus on the facts to the complete exclusion of what people are doing about the facts. And so I actually think we have a responsibility to do both in our courses.
I think what's most useful to sort of talk about some of these big drivers, these big threats of land use change, of global change, of species loss, but then talk about the portfolio of solutions that we have available to us, because so many people are doing good work all over the world, to try and move us in the right direction. And I think we've actually made a lot of progress on some fronts. And so I think pairing, the reality of what's occurring, but also with, sort of this suite of tools that we have to kind of confront and overcome those challenges is really important.
When you hear the gloom and doom, you can almost see the eyes roll in the audience. It's like, come on, guys, life isn't all that bad. We can plow through this one too.
We're working in interdisciplinary teams. My gosh, ecologists are working with economists now, and cultural ecologists, and a wider range of people. So we're doing interdisciplinary science and as teams. This is brilliant. It's the only way to combat complexity.
So I guess I have to believe that collectively we're going to increasingly start to make some good decisions.
All of these issues and concerns are kind of right in your face, when you learn about them every day. But at the same time, the training that you receive and the career pathway that you end up taking really puts you in a unique position to be able to make headway and do things to make the world a better place.
But one thing that I have noticed is that there has been a shift in thinking of we're going to mitigate this issue to we're going to have a combination of mitigate what we can, but also adapt where we have to. Honestly, if you look at what the Kyoto Protocol asked for 20 years ago and where we're at now, we've done pretty good.
That fundamental sense that change is possible really is a critical component of making that change.
When you're feeling cynical or pessimistic, you get involved. And involvement is an antidote to cynicism and pessimism.
I do a lot of the things I do. I like to think I'm having an impact through my work. But you also have to enjoy it and do it because it brings you some personal reward also.
I think it's important to kind of step up and take on some piece of this, some piece of, changing the trajectory of things sort of head on. But take on a small piece at first, and do something that excites you and that you feel like you have some talent for. I mean, I think things that we're good at and that we're excited about, we're going to do even better.
An acceptance that I can make a difference, but at the same time, not to be overwhelmed by the magnitude of the challenges that we face, because I alone can't make all the change, and all I can do is, what's possible for one individual to do. It tends to be more than we usually think.
It's easy to feel helpless, but you have to remember that no matter what situation you're in, you can do something. I think that's why I feel empowered, is that life is too short to sit around and wait for someone else to do it, You just got to step up.
I would ask them to think back at how their grandparents or great-grandparents, what they went through during the Depression. And what we're experiencing now is nothing compared to what they went through. They had an entire economic belief system upended. And think of the uncertainty that people had in this country. It's nothing, it's insurmountable. What we're experiencing now, we try to draw parallels, but it doesn't compare at all. And yet people persevered. They figured out how to make it work.
This is our greatest hope. Our greatest hope is what I call the NGOSs, the next generation of scientists. They're smarter than we are. They have a better group. They have a better background in ecology and technology and communication. They're going to do everything we did, but better. So when I look at the next generation of scientists, the NGOSs, I just smile.
Go up to the mountains for the weekend and go hiking and, look for moose and things like that. So I think sometimes it's important for us to kind of retreat for a few days and go back to the places that made us all excited about this field in the first place and just become rejuvenated that way.
If you look at the science about what is happening on Earth and aren't pessimistic, you don't understand the data. But if you meet people who are working to restore this Earth and the lives of the poor, and you aren't optimistic, you haven't got a heart. Paul Hawken.
For myself, I am an optimist. It does not seem to be much use being anything else. Winston Churchill.
I am fundamentally an optimist. Whether that comes from nature or nurture, I cannot say. Part of being an optimist is keeping one's head pointed toward the sun, one's feet moving forward. Nelson Mandela.
Just keep smiling and stay positive.
Okay. I'll try.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.